Lou, I don't know, man. With the market hitting all-time highs and then falling back, I'm liquidating my stock portfolio and jumping headfirst into real estate. And I'm really interested in today's guest because, there's so many different asset classes in real estate. I need to know more.
Matt, you're just excited because you live in Florida and we're going to be talking about trailer parks. But believe it or not, there are some great real estate opportunities in manufactured home parks, RV parks, and trailer parks. And today's guest is going to do a deep dive on the ins and outs of that niche sector.
Let's go!
So, Lou, with the stock market where it is these days, I think people are going to be looking for alternative investments and mostly real estate, right? We're sitting at all-time highs right now at this point. I think once we see this downturn in the market, which in my opinion will happen in the next 3 to 6 months, we'll get a 20% decline. We're going to see investors run into real estate. But I want people to know that there are different asset classes inside of real estate. So that's why I wanted to bring on our guest. So why don't you introduce him?
Whoa, 20% decline. Debbie Downer, what's going on, man? It's Q1 2026. But just in case you're right, we've got just a guest for you. We've got a product that is recession resistant, tax advantage, and it even gives you some cash flow. And to tell us all about it, we've got Matthias Gruenwald. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys. Great intro.
So you are founder of WCG Investments, and your focus is on multifamily investments, RV parks. Walk us through your real estate business model and how our audience and subscribers can take advantage of it.
Absolutely. So we buy mainly mobile home parks in the Southeast in the United States. So we like the asset class because we have a lot of sticky tenants, meaning they have long tenures within our parks. We have tenants in our mobile home parks that have been there since 1994. They bought a home back then, put it in place, and they just pay lot rent. They're just leasing the land from us, but they own the home. Which makes a very stable asset to own because the land doesn't have nearly as much of repair maintenance like an apartment does, obviously. It's mainly just like grounds upkeep, landscaping, and stuff like that. And then you have property tax and insurance. And if you don't own any of the infrastructure or like the homes itself, the expense ratios are pretty low and very predictable, which makes a very predictable asset to manage. And it gives investors also very predictable returns. There's different ratios in mobile home parks too, with like how the units are owned. There's park-owned homes, which means the park actually owns the homes. We buy those as well. We actually turn them over into tenant-owned homes, meaning the actual tenant owns the home and takes care of the repair and maintenance responsibility there, which is a huge value add. So we actually love to buy those parks to have a lot of park-owned homes and sell them off over time, which means we're actually increasing. As we are increasing rents, also income, but compressing expenses significantly as we are handing those homes over, selling them to tenants over longer periods of time or cash sales even, which then increase the NOI, increases the value, and gives our investors tremendous returns. So that's our business model in a nutshell.
So Matthias, let me ask you this. There's a huge misconception out there about mobile home parks, right? When I think of mobile home parks, I'm thinking about trailer parks, crackheads, people that you just are really down on their luck, right? However, I'm going to go out there on the limb and say this. My parents actually live in a mobile home park, but they don't necessarily live in a mobile home. It's just a manufactured home. So why don't you break that down? And, a lot of people listening, when you hear mobile home park, you're thinking about a trailer park, but that's really not the case anymore.
That's correct. Yeah, I kind of love the stigma because it keeps the competition out a little bit too, because some people don't want to get into it because it's trailer parks. But if you look under the hood, you can see there's so much potential. And like you just said, they are technically manufactured home communities these days. It's technically the correct term nowadays to use, because these homes are really well manufactured these days. There's this big conference in Louisville, Kentucky, which is always in the beginning of the year. And I've just been to it, and you can just walk from each manufacturer, their new homes. And it's incredible how nice they are. I mean, they're making like 5-bedroom, 3.5-bath mobile homes or manufactured home these days, they have like 3,000 square foot and that costs like $180,000. You know, it's not the trailer that you see on 8 Mile that, you know, Eminem lived in. It's, of course these exist too. And we see those deals crossing our desk all the time, where we then look a little bit deeper and like, oh yeah, this is definitely a trailer park. There's a lot of truck activity, a lot of vacancy, a lot of issues in a bad area, a lot of crime. But to be quite honest, I own multifamily, like apartments as well. And you have bad apartments in bad areas, and you have good apartments in good areas. You know, a D-class apartment is also horrible to manage, a lot of drug activity and a lot of crime. And you can have the same in the trailer park, obviously. So yeah, I kind of like that there's a stigma out there, because it helps to keep the competition out, but only for so much, because I feel like 10 years ago it was kind of like a hidden gem, but I think people are slowly catching up to it and see how stable of an asset it can be for an investment and how recession resistant it can be. A lot of people realized that after 08 and 09 and even through COVID, people kept paying, you know, their lot rents. And the stakes are high for the tenant-owned home tenants, because you know, if they don't pay their lot rent, they can lose their home. And who wants to lose their home, right? So it's the cheapest way to live. If you just have to pay lot rent $450, $500, depending on the market. Some markets are more like $600, $700 or even higher. You know, you kind live cheaper than that, especially if you own your own home, right? And moving it can you cost $10,000, $15,000 plus. So that makes the tenants pay rent on time and consistently, which helps a lot. And it makes it a great asset to own. I absolutely love it. So let's keep the stigma out there for a little bit longer so we can buy more deals.
Lou, I totally get it. When my parents told me that they were moving from New York City to a triple wide trailer, I think my mom called it, I said, what are you doing? But when I got down there, you had to see this thing. It was beautiful. It was brand new. It was put together properly.
So let me ask you, I mean, maybe I'm just not
understanding
the setup. And I don't know if this is a question for Matthew or Matthias, but if I own an RV, what are my expectations, or what do I need from a park? Is it electrical hookup, water? Does my RV come with washer dryer? Is there like a community center? Kind of walk me through what a typical setup is and how it works.
Matthias,
sure.
break it down for him, because he's still picturing an RV in his head. We're not talking about RVs.
No, I'm picturing. You have to understand. I'm picturing a big wad of tobacco in someone's mouth, and they're walking out of their broken down RV. It's like, ding,
ding. So there's a big difference between an RV and a manufactured home or mobile home trailer, however you want to call it. So I think it started back in the day where it was kind of like a thing, if you look back in history, where it was hip to actually live in a trailer, right? And that's where the trailer park term comes from. People had actual RVs or trailers, and they were living in these parks. It was kind of a hip thing. But of course, then over time, things age and trailers age. Then they become a little bit run down, become very affordable housing.
It was Die Hard. Wasn't Die Hard the movie that made trailers cool, right? Wasn't
kind of? Yeah,
right?
Maybe I missed that pitch. Yeah, I know. But what I'm trying to say is, like with RVs, they are very mobile, right? You can literally hook up your truck and leave. The mobile home, they usually sit on bricks, you know, and they're very heavy, very immobile, although the name says mobile home. You can move them, but they're very difficult to move and very expensive to move. So also need permitting, you know, to set up a mobile home, to move it. Some we actually not even allowed to move legally because they are under a certain, before the HUD got involved. So I think, what's that, before 1979, I believe. Anything older than that, you can't even move legally. So they're really difficult to move, so which makes a very sticky tenants. So that's kind of the bigger difference here between the two. And so that's why we don't do RV too much, because they're very transient, right? So you can have a lot of fluctuations in occupancy. You can charge a little more for RVs because you kind of bake in that risk, and they're more transient, shorter stays and stuff. We have an RV park, and you know it works pretty well, but it's not our main forte.
Are these the houses we see on the interstate being loaded up by a big truck that says wide load with the blinking lights?
That's it.
Now
that's
I know where those houses end up.
So probably I bought them probably when you see them.
These are some examples of the manufactured homes that they're building now, right?
Yeah,
and they put them together right on the lot. I mean, they're like this. Look at this one. Look at this one.
This is very nice.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's not your mama's trailer park.
And they're making cross mods nowadays. So we're working with Clayton Homes very closely. They're phenomenal. And they're making cross mods, which means they actually manufacture like the shell or the bare bones in the facility. Then you put it on site like a mobile home, and then you do the stick built stuff around, like the garage you just showed on the screen. There's a cross mod. So it's kind of a hybrid between a stick built and a mobile home. But once it's finished, it's actual real estate, not personal property, because mobile homes are personal property. They have a title like a vehicle. Like your regular car does. On these cross mods, they're actually real estate. So they also, technically mobile homes depreciate because it's personal property. But depends on the area. Some actually appreciate if they're maintained well, they're newer, and they're sitting in the right location, they can actually appreciate.
So what's the business model of a mobile home park? How do you make money? I mean, what does the lot cost? What's the net lease? Who pays utilities? Walk us through the cash flow of the business.
Yeah, it's rent like in any other real estate asset, right? But infrastructure-wise, depending on the park, many times, majority of our parks, they're direct builds. So like there's sub-metering on each of the homes, and then they get the bill from the local water company. Same with the power. We're not even getting involved. We have some parks where we have well water. We have to do monthly testing, make sure the water is safe to drink and stuff like that and to use. But we don't charge back for that. So sometimes you have septic tanks. So you kind of run like a mini city, right? Like we have one park, we have well water and septic tanks, which means the entire utility system is on us to maintain, which means sewer and water. The power is separately metered again. Rarely we do have power not separately metered. And that's how we make money, basically with the rents and then just maintaining the parks and keep the occupancy high. It's pretty simple, but it's simple doesn't mean easy, depending on the park itself and how heavy of a lift it is. Because there's so many mismanaged mobile home parks out there, because they've been mom and pop owned for decades and they just had it as a side hustle. Or
and Matthias,
thought,
what are the demographics? Like Matthew's parents, of course, retired, but is this prime for retirees, young families? Are there bachelor parks where you can have singles night?
All of it. I mean, depending on the location. I mean, Matt lives in Florida as well. There's a lot of mobile home parks here with retirees. Yeah, 55 plus communities, beautiful mobile home parks with community pools. They're like maybe in water, oceanfront, lakefront, whatever. They look beautiful. And there's some other ones where it's like lower income class, or lower middle class families living in these parks, and they just need affordable housing. That's simple. And we still try to make it like a nice and affordable and safe place to live, no matter what location we're buying it in. Demographics wise, we try to be in markets that are strong and at least stable population or growing population, especially when we have to do infill. Infilling means we bring in new homes in and sell them. So that's very important. But usually it's very family oriented. It's not really like, we rent out or sell to this like single person. I think that is more like RV can have that a little bit, but they're bringing their own RVs in. And then also tiny homes are pretty popular, which I'm not involved in right now, but it's something that crosses my mind because shiny object syndrome is a real thing.
So you have 45 to 60 million in your portfolio right now, right, of these mobile home parks, and they're across state lines. So tell us how you decide where to buy, what to buy, and who's actually managing and operating the properties.
Yeah, we have local community managers on site, and we have our own property management company that is vertically integrated to the main business, and they're managing all of our parks, doesn't matter where they are. So we have a back office that manages all the leasing paperwork, background checks, that do everything virtually. And then we have an on-site manager, which is the boots on the ground. If there's an emergency, there's anything going on with the park or in tenants or anything that's going on, they jump in locally. But if there's like small maintenance issues, maintenance requests that come through the system, we have somebody that's a maintenance agent on our back office team as well. She's basically playing dispatch, meaning she does the maintenance request intake and then calls a local vendor out. So if there's local coordination needed, the community manager will jump in. And the community manager mostly lives in the park directly or very close to it. We actually like if they don't live in the park and actually live close to it, because that's too close of a proximity. I've seen, favoritism and double standards being created because they don't want to, evict the neighbor, if that makes sense. If somebody stops paying rent and stuff like that. So that's how we structure it. With third-party property management, it's I mean, you get mixed reviews on that, obviously, but on mobile home parks, since the rents are lower compared to apartments, because we only get rent on the lease land because it's lower. Usually, property management companies charge 12 to 15% of gross. What we are doing, we're only charging 10% internally. So we basically have like another profit center on the other side, but also the deal itself doesn't get burdened by too
And
much
what's the
cost.
typical duration on a lease term for something like this?
Lease term, I mean, if somebody comes new into the park, it's a 1-year lease, but they stay long term, and then usually let it go to like month to month. So we could technically, depending on the state, right? So don't quote me on this for every single state out there, but in the states we're operating in the Southeast, we only have to give 30 days notice for rent increases. So that keeps flexibility on our end. And from our experience, I think it's kind of like a beginner mistake. A lot of people think like, oh, you have a 1-year lease, you have 1-year security. Trust me, people leave whenever they want to leave. Doesn't matter if they have a lease.
Do you have metrics on what the average duration is?
Yeah, I mean, we have people in the park stay like for 30 years plus, and almost everybody we moved into in the last year, they're still there, obviously. So when you place a new person, they stay for a long period of time. I think the average tenure is like 6.5 or 7 years, what I've seen in our data. But as we're growing, the data evolves. Yeah, it is.
So, Matthias, I'm an investor. I invest in a lot of things, right? Real estate happens to be one of them. What is your pitch to me, right? How does it work? Am I investing in one park with you? Am I investing in multiple parks? Is it a fund model? Am I getting a preferred return? Talk to me about that.
Absolutely. So we are opening our first fund right now. Until this point, we did syndications. So there was like one single deal, which could be a portfolio. What we're offering is it's typically a 70-30 equity split, meaning 70% goes to the investor, 30% goes to the GP team, the managers, which is myself and our partners. And then there's a preferred return. Usually it's a 7 to 8% return. We even paid up to like 10% on one deal because the deal was so juicy before, which preferred return is basically like, let's say 8% on your money. Annually speaking, right? And we pay that out monthly, which not many syndicators do monthly. We did start with quarterly, but our recent deals, we started with the monthly distribution. So you get that monthly investor report from us, full transparency with full financials. You get monthly distributions on the preferred return, and you know exactly where you stand, where the asset sits right now, and how far off it is of NOI from the business plan and where we are and where it's heading. So we always. Our pitch is kind of to say, like, if we have big firm processes with small firm transparency. So we always have the investors look under the hood, and we even jump on calls with investors if they want to look under the hood even deeper and have one-on-one calls with some of our investors.
So when do I get my money back? Preferred return is nice, but what's the expectation?
Expectation is it's vested for a couple of years, right? So typically we say it's a 5-year business plan. Some of them are 7 to 10 years if it's a bigger project. We do not advertise refinancing after 2 or 3 years because we never know what the capital market does and what interest rates going to look like. We don't want to have our back against the wall, obviously, but we aim for a refi to get the majority, if not all, of the capital return after 2 to 3 years, and you stay in the deal forever. That means after you have infinite returns and you receive cash flow before, if that makes sense. If we increase the value of the asset largely enough that we can actually return all of the capital. Once all that capital is returned, the preferred return will stop, but you will still get basically, let's say we have $100,000 of profits, $70,000 goes to the investors with a 70-30 split, and $30,000 goes to the 30% to the GPs. So it'll be just a straight split of profit.
And then after you refinance everybody out, does the model flip 70-30?
No, we keep we keep it. Yeah, 70-30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's kind of like what makes the deal a little bit sweeter. And then also the tax benefits are huge on mobile home parks. Before I got in, I was interested in mobile home parks, but I was always going after like the tax benefits myself because, reading the books, you see like real estate has a lot of depreciation that you can write off on your taxes, especially when you're a real estate professional. You can really wipe out your tax liability very easily. In mobile home parks, I thought, hey, you only own the land, you cannot write the land off. How good can the tax benefits be? Let me tell you, I was so wrong in the beginning. The tax benefits on the mobile home parks are amazing. Actually, one of the best, if not the best, in commercial real estate because it's all on a shorter schedule. They're all land improvements. So you have like the roads, the signage, landscaping, everything's on shorter schedules. So especially now with the bonus depreciation being back of 100%, we have some deals where you invest $1, for example, and you get back $2, meaning you put $100,000 in, you get $200,000 of tax write-offs on our deals. So it's pretty amazing, the tax benefits you get in mobile
And
home
you
park.
share
You
that
get a 2 to
benefit.
1 tax benefit on some deals.
Sorry, say it again.
And you get a 2 to 1 tax benefit on. So I'm getting 200,000 for 100,000, right?
Correct.
So we're very big believers, me and Luigi, in cost segregation, right? We go out, we buy properties, we cost seg it, but however, we wind up writing off what 30 to 40% of the property of everything. Why? What is the terminology that makes this so much more beneficial? It's land improvements. Is there a certain tax code? What is it?
Not a certain tax code, it's just land improvements. They're all on shorter schedules. So what we can write off on mobile home parks on shorter schedules. So you can just be with the cost say you can push everything into year one, obviously. And compared to what you actually purchase it for, and what investor money we have in place for the deals. That's how we can offer up to like 2x of every dollar invested.
Yeah. So whereas a commercial,
that's what we do. It's nothing different than to apartments.
Yes, commercial real estate will have a 39-year scale. A capital improvement will be
Yeah.
much less. It's great. Wonderful.
So
Yeah.
And let me ask you this: what about refinancing? Right. So you raise the money and financing in general. Is it harder to get financing on a mobile park than it is on a multi-class family?
There's specific lenders out there, thankfully. So it's a small, big world. So there's specific banks that lend on mobile homes and mobile home parks. You definitely have to know what you're doing because I don't know if it's harder. It's just a little bit different because some banks, they only lend on the land income. When I say this, they only lend on the land lease, the lot rents. They don't lend on if you have park-owned homes and their income because they see there's more risk attached to it because there's more turnover, etc. And some do, but they offer a higher interest rate for the higher risk. So there's specialized banks out there. You can kind of like when you look at a deal, and I'm very analytical. I'm the guy that does the underwriting on our team and run the operations. I can look at the data and look, okay, this is a Vanderbilt deal. Vanderbilt's one of the banks, and this one's a 5-star deal. This is a First Bank deal. I know exactly what the appetite is after doing a couple of deals, and know exactly where to pitch it to, and what product you need. So it's not harder. The rate's a little bit higher, but right now we get like mid 6s on like land only stuff with like 5-star, which is amazing. And then like if you want to get lending on the park on homes and the land combined, you might be like in the mid 8s with other banks because you have a higher risk. But sometimes you need that higher rate, that other loan product, because you try to achieve, you solve for the DSCR, right? And then some of the deals are heavy park on homes, they get a heavy rental income. So you need that loan product with that bank to get started. And then as you're switching them over, that's what we're doing. We switch them over to tenant-owned homes over time and selling them off. You're actually creating more predictable income. Is going to become mainly land income at some point. Then you can switch to another bank and actually reduce the interest rate like 1 or 2% because now it's attractive to the other bank when you're done stabilizing it, if that makes sense. It's kind of cool.
So when you guys are doing that conversion, right, from a rental to a tenant-owned property, are you guys holding the paper on that? Are they buying it out cash? Are they getting lending from somewhere else? How's that work?
They can get lending from somewhere else, especially if it's a newer home. So, for example, Clayton, right? They have a subsidiary called Vanderbilt. That's one of the banks that lends on it, but they also do consumer lending for people. Like we put a home in place and somebody says, I want to buy this. And we bring them to Vanderbilt and they get the final, they get their own mortgage on that home to buy it from us. We don't hold a note because with safe harbor rules and stuff like that, we don't get involved in that, obviously. That's going to get a little bit difficult and a little bit tacky. What we're doing is either cash sales, even if we have buy parks with older homes, that might be only worth like 10, 15 grand. And then people pay that cash and like, okay, it's used now. We call them even handyman specials. Some of them need a lot of work. And they were like, okay, give me 5 grand, move in now, and then they just pay me lot rent. But I have the thing off my hands and it pays me rent. I don't have to repair this thing anymore. I don't have to put 20 grand in it to make it a $30,000 home. So I just say, hey, give me 5 grand, you can have it. And some people love that stuff. Contractors, they're handy. They go in there, fix it up for a month or two, then they live in it, And I mean, those things are easy to repair most of the time, as long as like the bones are still solid. And if it's like a payment plan that we're doing, we call rent to own or like a lease with an option, which is basically like they're leasing it for like 7 years, 10 years, depending on what we're doing. That they give us like an option payment up front, and then at any point in that term, they can exercise the option to purchase it.
Okay.
That's how we do it. Yep.
I like it. So what geographic area are you in? I know you're in multiple states. Where's your focus on geography?
The Carolinas. So my partner is out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I used to live in Greenville, and I have a team built there with my rental portfolio and the mobile home parks we bought there. So the Carolinas were really strong. In the upstate, also in the low country, close coast to coast, we have a lot of parks there. And also in Georgia, we have a lot of parks in Georgia. So the Carolinas and Georgia we're very strong in. We want to dip into Florida because I moved here and we see some opportunity here, but it's very competitive and we want to scale this with a lot of discipline. But from a concentration perspective, it's the Carolinas. We know the Carolinas really well. We know it in and out. We have a lot of connections there. We have teams there. We can be very dangerous in the Carolinas.
You don't sound like you're from the Carolinas.
No, I'm from Germany. That's why.
So tell us, how did you enter into the mobile park world from being in corporate America in Germany?
Oh man, I love that question. How did that German guy get into trailer parks? I love that question. Even my family questions that sometimes. But it works out. It works out well for me. So yeah, born and raised in Germany. Back in 2012, I moved to the US back in Greenville, South Carolina. And I was the chief operating officer for a global automotive company. And that's what I was mainly doing, like building the facility there, building it up. And then we branched out from Greenville to Detroit, Michigan, and also Montreal, Mexico. So basically I had like satellite facilities I was managing. And I was responsible for the North America operation internationally, really, because I was Mexico was also involved. And that really, I built that skill set of, team building, building cultures, building processes, streamlining processes, income expense control, etc. This actually was a lot more complicated than what I'm doing today, because there's less going on in the mobile home park compared to, the multinational corporation I was working at. And there's also a lot more politics. There's international ownership and, equity, private equity firms involved. It gets a lot more complicated on that front. But yeah, it's fast forward to 2020, 2021 when COVID hit, and I think everybody stepped back a little bit and got deep into themselves. That's what I did at least, and asked, where's the future heading for me? Everything got quiet. I'm like, man, I'm in this executive job and they give me nice raises and stuff. But every time I get a nice raise, the IRS gets a nice raise too, because I pay more taxes. So I literally Googled, how do the rich get rich, and how do they, I always hear about this guy doesn't pay taxes. Like, how does it even work? How is this even legal? And I always got back to real estate, if you have to paper losses and then you can virtually wipe out your tax liabilities legally, obviously. So I was like, okay, I need to get into real estate. How do I get started? And I had some savings, and also the rates plummeted in 2021. So I cash out refied our primary residence. We had tons of equity in it, pulled the equity out, and then bought a duplex late 2021. That's how I got started in real estate. So yeah.
Did you say you built the duplex?
No, I said I misspoke. I bought the duplex. I didn't build it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I bought a duplex, and then right after, that was a year later. We bought our fourplex right after, and then I did kind of like the stacking method.
In
2,
Greenville?
4 in Greenville. Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. It's in Spartanburg, which is next to Greenville. It's it's up there. It's a county over of Greenville, which Spartanburg is a pretty growing market. What I liked a lot. Greenville had a lot of growth. It still grows a lot, but it's very competitive. And Spartanburg is kind of like nibbles on his toe, if that makes sense. There's a lot of growth there, a lot of rent growth. So I like that market. We have mobile home parks there too, actually, 5 of them. But yeah, after I got the fourplex bought, I was like, okay, now anything over 4 is commercial, like 5+ commercial. How do we get into commercial? So I joined masterminds and stuff like that, and met people, the JVs, and then I met my partner, Tim Woodbridge, who is a master, connector and networker and acquisitions guy. And he was in mobile home parks already since 2019. And he showed me the dark side. I always joke, like, hey, thanks for showing me the dark side, because he sold it to me like, oh man, this is amazing. And we could not be more different from each other, but I think that's why it works so much. Our core values are aligned, but we have different backgrounds. And, he comes from Southern California. I'm from Germany. Like, he used to be a nurse. I was an executive. Like, everything is so polarizingly different, but it works from a core value, what we want to build, and everything. Like, it's not only like a great partnership, it became a great friendship at the same time over the last couple of years. And then we started taking down bigger deals, because I was in Greenville, Spartanburg, and I saw this mobile home park. I pitched it to Tim, like, hey, this park looks pretty good to me on the numbers that I can see, and I had some experience how I analyze stuff, and I had my own rental properties. And I was like, oh yeah, I did an offer on this already. And I showed him the numbers. So I was like, oh yeah, we probably can offer a little bit more. And we did offer more. And thankfully, Tim had the relationship with the broker. And he closed like 2 or 3 parks with the broker already at Marcus and Millichap. And he was like, yeah, you guys have the second highest offer, but since I know you, we're going to go with you guys. And we got a deal on the contract, which was our first syndication. And then we had no idea how to raise $1.4 million. Zero idea. So we asked around.
Wait, what was the purchase price of the park?
3.85 million.
3.85. So you have 3.85. How much of your own money are you putting into it?
We put, that was over 150,000 in it between the GPs.
Okay,
about 10% of the total deal.
Now at this point, you're like, shit, we got it. We got to put up 150,000. But now, fuck, we have to go out and raise how much?
Yeah, exactly, 1.3 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you guys raised? Well, he's raised money before. Have you raised money at this point in time?
Never.
Okay. So
yeah, even my partner, he didn't raise money before. He did JVs and stuff like that. So partners chipped in. He never had to raise capital. So we actually partnered with somebody else that he knew. And he did apartment syndications before. And he was also starting into mobile home parks. He was like, hey, this is the perfect time. You want to partner on this? So he had over 1,000 units already. And then he just showed us under the hood how he does capital raising, like the webinars, live webinars with Q&As and, post on LinkedIn and Facebook your progress on the deal. And here's where we are on due diligence, sparking interest with people and having a lot of investor calls. And that's how we raised capital. That's how we got started. And then we did 2 more syndications in the same year where we had to raise 1.2 million on one and 1.1 on the other. So there was another deal in between. So we raised like 4 million in year 1, which was crazy to think back.
So how many days did you have to close on that park to raise that 1.8, you said?
The first one, that was about, we always do like 45 days DD, due diligence, and 45 after, so 90 days. The seller was actually delaying the closing, which helped us, actually, because we almost didn't make it. We almost had to pitch in money from ourselves just to get the deal closed, because we were raising, I think we need about $1 million exactly to close the deal. We were like at 850. We hit like a wall. I mean, like, oh my, come on, man, we need 150 to at least close this thing. And then the seller dropped the ball with the mobile home titles and didn't get him to the attorneys or the attorney of the lender from the bank in time, which delayed the closing for 2 weeks. And that's all we needed. And then we got the last 150 in. And I think 2 weeks after closing, we got the other 300,000 that we needed for CapEx and repairs and stuff like that. So we got it closed, but it was tight. It was nerve wracking. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but we get it done somehow. And we did.
I love that. I love that. So did you bring that capital raiser in as a partner on the park? How did you work that out? You made him part of the GP as well?
Correct. Part GP. He got a pretty big line share. We gave him 30% just because we just needed somebody to help us. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad we did, because we co-GPing with him from time to time on other deals. So it's not a one-off. He's been a co-GP on other deals and helped raising there as well shortly after. So yeah, it's been a great partner, and that deal we knocked out of the park operationally, and have crazy returns for our investors on that deal, and probably refinancing this year, about 2 years after acquisition, refinancing, and probably got the value to 5.5-6 million at this point, because we had a ton of park on homes there, which over half we sold off at this point. And we doubled NOI already in 2 years on that thing. So pretty proud of the achievement there. So glad it worked out. But looking back, man, it's crazy to think that we just jumped in without knowing how to even raise capital, and then we got it done. It's a testament of if you just set your mindset to it, you can get it done. You just have to ask who, not how. Sometimes, the book, right? I love that book, and it works. Just partner with the guy that knows how it's done, and then you just do it.
Matthias, do you think you would have been able to pull off that same sort of audacity in Germany?
I don't think so. Good question, though. I never tried to do anything entrepreneurial in Germany because I moved to the US so early in my career. I never really even tried. Let me tell you this. If you look at how many millionaires or even billionaires you have per capita between the US and Germany, the ratio is a lot higher in the US than in Germany. I believe entrepreneurship is definitely easier than in Germany, from my opinion, because I feel like it's definitely a lot more opportunities in the US. Also get a business started and tax benefits and stuff like that. Tax is a big issue in Germany. You're always very highly taxed. There's tax benefits in real estate there too, but you don't, just getting transactions done. If I tell people in Germany, I know that we can buy like large deals like this in 90 days or shorter, or even like buying a house. If you buy cash within like a week or two, like if you have cash, right, no bank involved, they're just blowing their mind. I know people, they're trying to sell their house for, the whole transaction has been going on for like 6+ months for a single family home. There's so much bureaucracy in Germany, which one of the reasons why I didn't really like living there. Everything is so tightly regulated and everything is so slow and so much bureaucracy. I just didn't enjoy it at all. So I like the nimbleness in the US, and it's a little bit of a Wild West in a sense. And I enjoy that a lot, to be quite honest.
I would think right now, with the way things are in the United States, there may be an opportunity for you to go to Germany and raise money. I'm housing here, because
definitely
right now we're devaluing our dollar so much, right? Them bringing over, they're getting more for their money. One, Lou, you've seen this happen and play out before.
Yeah, like 200 euro is like $1 million right now.
Like pesos right now.
No, back in 2008, didn't the same thing happen? We've seen a lot of Europeans come into the U.S. and get into real estate because of the differential between the dollar and the euro.
Yep.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, that happened. I moved to the U.S. in 2012. I mean, the rate was like, I think like
is probably the right time. Yeah.
Yeah, before then too. I think right after 08, 09, I believe the peak was like you had a euro and it was $1.60. And I remember people, they bought Porsche 911s in the US, brought them back to Germany where they were built to sell them with a profit because the euro was so strong, the dollar was so weak. Yeah. So when I moved here, I think it was like $1.40. So like a euro was like $1.40. And I was actually paid out of Germany, so that actually helped, if that made sense. But once like the currency kind of declined, I was like, hey, I need to get paid in dollars because I didn't have that advantage anymore. But yeah, that's true. I mean, that's something I'm working on in the future, building that network with German investors.
I went to Europe 2 years. I went this year, and it was a lot more expensive than it was 2 years ago, right?
Oh, yeah.
We were almost dollar for dollar. It was at parity, right? And it's never like that. So I think if we keep devaluing the U.S. dollar, there's going to be some opportunity there for you to go raise some money.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think also like it's kind of a little mental bridge as well. If they're not just like they want to invest in the US, but they maybe have like this language barrier, or it's, there's a German guy that speaks German, that is from Germany, that understands where their concerns are coming from, what they're dealing with. But I moved here 14 years ago. So I know both worlds, I know both cultures. So being that bridge for people to make them more comfortable, that's what I want to use in the future to serve investors out of Germany to place their capital. Actually, our fund we're creating right now, actually, we are allowing international investments for that reason, because I want to go after German investors sounds harsh, but I want to like serve German investors to come in the US and even like invest in mobile home parks. We don't have mobile home parks in Germany. We have trailer parks, but they're more like recreational. Like you have if people live in an apartment complex a lot, there's a very high density in German cities usually, because we have almost 90 million people in Germany. It's a very small country. Compare it, like the landscape or like the size of the land in Germany compared to the US. I mean, Texas is probably like 6 or 7 times, 20 times bigger than Germany is, just like one state, right? It's crazy. So like the density is super high. So people have actually RV parks to get out of the house and have like a little garden, because they have that little RV sitting there. It never moves. It's just like a little home that's in the garden. So they have like outside time, because they have just an apartment. Like a lot that my family members do that stuff. And it's kind of funny, like, when we like got my wife and I got married, and she's German as well, like we actually thinking back then we didn't even think about it this way, but now we're into mobile home parks and RV parks. We got married and we celebrated in an RV park, because it's where you celebrated there, because we couldn't have celebrated in an apartment. We celebrated in her aunt's RV park, and like, go figure, full circle moment. We now invest in them in the United States. So
that's funny. Now, my family was just a bunch of Irish travelers, gypsies. Oh, no, that's awesome. Hey, Matthias, why don't you tell everybody if they have any interest in learning more about RV parks, possibly investing with you, where they can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So if you go on our website, wcginvestments.com, you can reach out there and get on our list. You can book a call with us, which is pretty straightforward. Right there is my partner Vinny on the video there. You can book a call with us. There's a calendar popping up there. So you get on it's basically connected between my partner Vinny, Tim, and I. So you can jump on a call with us, learn more about what we have to offer at the moment. Their website also shows you why we do mobile home parks and why we like it so much. And then if you want to reach out to me personally, I'm active on all the socials, most of them at least, like the LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Feel free to reach out, and happy to help people, to build wealth for real estate, slashing their tax bills legally, and also give them free advice what they should do, how to, have success in the entrepreneurial world.
Matthias, I have to ask, America's been good to you, but let's say it's a few months from now and the draw is somewhat fortuitous and it's Germany, USA in a World Cup semifinal. Which jersey are you wearing?
Man, depends what the audience is around me.
Very prudent. Well said.
Yeah.
All right, great answer. Matthias, thank you so much. Everybody, that's a wrap. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you, guys.
Let's go!